Hi, my name is Gantz. I'm just making this recording to give my tips and tricks using Plaguebringer and talk about my mistakes, the good things I do, and the mistakes of the survivor and the good things that they do. I looked at the levels first to see if I'm going to go up against experienced survivors. They're decent levels, so I know that this is going to be not a tough game, but not an easy one either. A lot of the time, a lot of people make the mistake of underestimating Plaguebringer's damage and Cauldron. It's very easy sometimes to trap people, and you'll see that in this gameplay against these very good survivors. The way my build is purely damage for basics and purely for health and balance bar for elites, and I am spec in no way into my boss. My boss is just to push pressure on the survivors and give them something to look at, basically, and fight. Against really good survivors, the boss is not good because they're able to dodge her very easily just by moving left and right, and you'll see the David, the support, do that very well. And the only thing I notice as a survivor, it's really hard to pay attention to your surroundings at times. So I use that to my advantage and position myself in a certain way. You'll see later in the gameplay to down the David. I feel like Plaguebringer, out of all the demons, is you need to use a lot of critical thinking and ingenuity to down survivors. Cauldron placement is very important. You shouldn't just waste your Cauldron whenever you can. Sometimes I won't even summon Cauldron on point if I don't need to, because I'd rather come back to the survivors while they're trying to loot again and trap somebody. Now on the big map, I normally check dead end first because it's the central part of the map, in my opinion. And when I play survivor, the map piece always spawns there at some point. So I like to trap the indoor area just so I could be alerted if they actually go there. It's really a trap for survivors because sometimes you think like, oh, there's going to be a lot of chests there, and there's like no chest spawn or like 2 commons. So I get lucky here. I see the Ed. I notice he's using his ability, so my first thought, he went upstairs. I'm going to trap him. Yes, I do not have basics yet, but I know if I use my scare ability here, I'll have enough to summon a basic. So I put that point in basic and then summon him. Now my first thought is, let me use light attacks on him so that I can bait out of all his dodges. And once I know that I'm getting the hits in, I start using the spin to win technique, or the Baya Blade, whatever you want to call it. Just so I get those light stacks on him, and I got it. So I think I get him down, and I have no Infernal Energy, so I drop the units. And now I know I have to go for Infernal Energy. Unfortunately, my Cauldron placement wasn't perfect there, so the Ash is able to pick him up through the Cauldron, which is fine because they still have to destroy the Cauldrons. So my thought is, now I have to go for Infernal Energy here so that I can get another unit in there. So I know I'm not going to be able to summon another unit, so I put a trap here because I noticed they stopped. And possess the unit because it costs less. I want to go for the Ed, but he runs away. And as soon as I see him drink that chimps, I know I shouldn't go after him because the leader Ash has less health. So I drop the units. And since that leader Ash gave the Ed his shimp, I think that he's out of shimps as well. Since it was such early game, I found one. So I think he's going to go into this building to get more shimps, but he actually decides to go for a car, which is the better idea. as a survivor. If you're in trouble, you should always drive to your teammates. It's kind of a dick move at the same time because you're bringing the demon to them, but it's better that you're all together to fight the demon than it is to be separated, because you don't want the demon to get levels. So I'm very bad at flipping cards, and this survivor is very smart. He's dodging and hiding behind a tree, so I decided to drive the car away from him. Now I think he's going to go into Chocolate Auto because they have ships in there as well, but I could trap him, but once again he decides to go for a car. So I know he's hell-bent on getting a car. So I get the car, try to flip it. Unfortunately, I keep hitting stuff. The faster cars are easier to flip, that's for sure. The medium speed ones kind of harder, and the bigger trucks very hard to flip. You have to use your environment to flip them, and I get to flip here. Now I know he's one-track mind right now. He wants a car, and I see him running toward Clara's pawn, so I want to summon the unit in front of him so that he has to back away from the car. Like I said, positioning is very key. Now this survivor is smart, and he dodges forward to get to the car here, but he thought I was going to do a light attack, so that helped me out. Now the car is in a good position where you could block it with a basic, but luckily the blight stacks get him down and the basic. So I drop the unit so I can keep Infernal Energy here and start trapping the area because I know they have to come to res him. To be honest, it is a leader Ash, so they may feel like they don't need him for the point. But just in case, I'm driving this car away because I don't want them to have a quick getaway as soon as they pick him up or get his soul. Survivors are being smart and focusing on the objective. A lot of people underestimate Plague Rainer's damage to the book. So I think that's what their mindset is, that they want to just focus the objective and not worry about survivors going down. But that works in my favor. I get more levels. The first thing I level up is Possession Basics Elites. The last thing I level up is Boss. I level up my Infernal Energy before I level up my Boss as well, because like I said, against good survivors, Boss is very weak. Her attacks are very telegraphed and slow. The only thing that really hits is the potion. So I normally just use potion, light attack, just so I can get the blight stack on the survivor, because the blight stack, the potion doesn't do damage, but it does leave a blight stack on the survivor when they dodge. So once again, I'm trapped in the area just so when they do come for the body, they set off those traps. And I saw that the Ed was close by, so once again, I want to get rid of the car. I was max Infernal Energy when I possessed the car, so I know if they knock me out of the car's going to be destroyed. Now I have no Infernal Energy, so my idea is to use my Scare here to regain Infernal Energy, and I know they're going for the soul, so I'm waiting for them to get close. Place Cauldron and summon Boss. Like I said, I'm just doing this to waste time. See how I position myself so that the head ran into the trap? So right there, I should have went after the support, just so he wouldn't get that chimps off, because now it's going to take more hits to get down his head. And the support did a good thing and dropped his abilities so that I'm actually losing Infernal Energy while being in it. And he placed it near Cauldron so I don't stay near Cauldron as well. And this is where you see the support being a very good player, because he's able to dodge my attacks here just by moving left and right. So I actually try to put my attack to the left and right of him, but he still dodges it. So I have no infernal energy to throw potions on him, so all I could do is just waste time here. Here I go for heavy attacks because I think, oh, maybe if I'm up close he's not going to dodge, but he is smart and he dodges them as well, and they're slow because they're heavy attacks. Here I try to get infernal energy and then spend up my points. I feel like I have enough time to get my scare, but unfortunately I don't. So I could just watch him. And then I see the Henry starting the point. So I immediately go to there because that's more important than the rest. I took away all the cars from there, so they're going to have a while to get to the next car. When Plague Barrier first came out, people said that the basics were like the worst basics you could use, but now, after playing her for so long, I feel like the basics is where most of the damage comes from. And downing survivors. Because the elites are too slow. The only time I use elites is if I'm going against a full warrior team. Because they literally try to tank all that damage. Now I see this Henry's close to the car, so I know he's going to try and get in the car as soon as I come. And he uses his ability to get in. I immediately drop the possessed unit because, like I said, we need to get rid of these cars. And I see there's a car nearby, so I'm kind of trying to block it in and try to flip this car with that car. But unfortunately, the car isn't tall enough, so it doesn't destroy this car. He's honking at me to BM me, which is fine. So I take this car and try and get rid of it. But once again, I fail because so many trees in this area. Now I know Ash's car is there, so if he tries to go for that car, I can pin him in by standing in front. He already used his ability, so cooldown is 100 seconds now, according to the patch notes. Unless if he has the cooldown reduction, which I think is 10%. So like I said, I stand in front, and then my basic starts attacking here, and he has to jump the shimps. And he really wants to get in this car. They start the objective, which is smart, but this Henry is low health, so I kind of focus on him, and he gets stuck here, so he needs to focus me now. So I do light attacks so I can get enough infernal energy to start putting white stacks on him. David comes to help him, which is smart. I try to knock him back into that corner, even though my unit's going to go down here. He uses his ability, so I immediately drop the unit. No point in continuing Henry. So I go back to point so I can get my infernal energy back faster. Place traps in case they run into him. Another mistake survivors make is actually trying to destroy Cauldron. It's better just to stay out of it range. Yes, I could stay in boss here and just hit them from the middle, but it's like I said, good survivors know how to dodge this. Warriors don't have that many dodges. He has 2 dodges, so I literally just keep putting blight stacks on him, hoping that he'll go down here. He does, thanks to my elites and the blight stacks I put on him. David wastes his shimp there. I accidentally used my scare there, so I couldn't scare him off of him. So I hit him a couple times with the spin, and I noticed that my unit is actually glitched, and I can't do anything with him, so I dropped him. Now, I change targets and go for the edge because I know if I hit the edge, you'll lose a lot more health than the Henry will. And a good technique with the basics is if they're running, you want to do the pincer maneuver, and then a light attack to put blight stacks. And if they want to stay and fight you, that's when you do the ability or spin to win.
Whatever you're doing, it's not working.
Normally I put a marker on where they were, but I have a very good memory, so I just know that where they were. And I play this game way too much, so I knew that they were at Camp Greenbird, even if the fear wasn't maxed out there. Now I noticed they didn't go for Shemps, and they're heading to Billiard Swamp. So I start heading there as fast as I can to try and put some early pressure on them before they start the point. I lagged a little bit there. Now right now I'm at a good pace for book damage if I do end up going for book. Once again, I start placing traps. And they're almost all healed here. So I decide to just go for anybody I can damage on here. And just summon as many things as possible. So I want to knock that Leader Ash into that trap, but he moves forward instead. Once again, just going for anybody. Just to get blight stacks from everybody here, but to be honest, normally you want to do is just focus to the target. Once again, I want to go for the Ed because she has a lower health pool, and he's extremely bad at dodging. And we popped an amulet to smart. As a survivor, you should always choose to at least carry one amulet because it's easier to pop an amulet and it's not interruptible than actually trying to turn to Shemps. So I summon boss again just to put pressure, but David is smart and uses his ability, so I have to get a couple of hits in before I actually use potion here. Once I'm out of flames, I start using it. I kind of try to angle myself so that Henry's away from his team. And now he's backpedaling, which is good for me. And he's just out of my range. So I throw another potion here, but it doesn't go anywhere. Now the Henry makes the mistake and thinks that he's back into the other survivors, and so the other survivors are going to help him. But he's way off point here. So I down him, and the point's almost done, so I drop the unit here and put a trap there just in case they try to go for the res, even though the point is almost done. And I notice they're not. So I possess the unit, but once again, the point is done. There's no point as Plaguebringer to stay on point because there's no slowdown for Plaguebringer. She has none of her perk tree, so downs are more important to her than staying on point. Which is actually a pretty nice thing because then you could actually go for other survivors that are off point and you'll know you get the down. Once again, I want to get a high enough level where I can go for book damage. And as you can tell, Infernal Energy is maxed out because you're going to spin to win on the book, and Possession's maxed out, and Basics and Elites. So everything that I need to be maxed out to go for book damage is maxed out. Now, I know they're low on Shimps because they haven't healed yet, so I'm heading my way back to Billiard Swamp to stop them, and they didn't immediately get in the car, so I noticed that they're probably looking for Shemps on the way. So I see the Henry here running towards here, then there's normally Shemps here, the Ancient One spawn near here, so it's a frequent use to check this area out. So as I said, he's doing the running away, but he uses his ability. Now I didn't know this, but you could dodging here with the unit actually costs Infernal Energy, so I accidentally waste all my Infernal Energy just dodging him to kind of taunt him. Since he taunted me earlier. So I don't have anything to win move tactic here or pencil maneuver. So unfortunately the unit goes down, but I know he's low enough health, but I'm not sure he's low enough where the possession will kill him. So I want to possess him and put him in a position where they can't res him. And the best way to do that is kind of put him in a corner where if the possession doesn't kill him, the storm will kill him. Because he'll have to move around these hay bales just to get out of the storm. And so here I do, put him in the corner here. Possession kills him, and they can't get the res because the storm is over his body now. So I see that the Ed is kind of lingering behind here. So I want to get enough Inferno energy where I could basically spam my pincer attack. And unfortunately that's Henry backed out because he was upset. I was playing pretty scummy, but with the new prestige system I'm trying to push streets as fast as possible. I put another point into the boss here. I wanted to summon basic, but I decided to just summon boss here because the storm is so close. And David's close to the storm, so I go for him. I tried to do a grab here, but I guess he was too far out of my range to auto lock onto him. So I throw opposing first because I know he's going to dodge first. And he's backpedaling because he knows how to dodge. So use grab here, and then I move boss in front of him so that the storm is behind him. Because like I said, he likes to dodge left and right for boss here. So he accidentally dodges into the storm because of the way I position boss. Now I wanted to scare the Ed, but then I noticed that Leader Ash is possessable. So I possess him. So when you get shot, you want to dodge as when you possess a survivor because you try to bring up your weapon and use that instead. So he panics, uses his ability. Got that crispy headshot, and so I'm just looking and then dodging to waste the stamina, and the storm gets him. So I didn't have to go for quick damage. So these survivors were really good. They just made a couple mistakes that ended up their downfall. They should have done the further objective first. And then the Ed also made the mistake of not understanding that he could get trapped up the stairs. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.